Hi, hello. Um, Welcome back to my channel. I just walked into school. It is Friday, May 29th, and I walked in thinking that I was just grabbing a couple of things and maybe I was gonna like print out the end of the year school checklist that I have to like do to like close up my classroom for the summer. I was gonna start on a few of those items. I can take this off now. But I walked in and it seems like the janitors have been busy. Like all of the first grade classrooms are already all like have their desks stacked and cornered. It was really sad to come in here to this. Um, Let me show you, I guess. So here's me walking into my room, and it's like everything's stacked. You know, all of this is usually where the desks are, and they're all put over there. Oh my gosh, it's like it looks like they've already vacuumed some. It makes it look so much more empty right now. It was really, I guess it was just kind of jarring. I wasn't expecting to walk in and have to see like things put away. And, I was expecting to have to do all this myself. So, I mean, really, it's very kind of our janitors to do all this, but it's kind of scary too. It was like, oh my gosh, it really is the end. I mean, we have like 2 or 3 more weeks before we even have to be packed up. So it's kind of like I wasn't expecting this. But I'm just in for a quick minute to, well, maybe not a quick minute. I have to print off some materials and my printer at home isn't working for like some different things that I have to turn in by the end of the year. And I was going to start, like, I was thinking about not stacking the desks, but I was thinking about like covering some bulletin boards or something, though honestly, it's fade resistant paper, so I'm not sure if I even need that on there. But now I'm just feeling really weird and I feel like my classroom looks really odd and I feel sad kind of, but I'm sure you're all feeling like that if you have a classroom yourself, right? Um, but yeah, I'll probably talk to you a little bit about what I kind of planned to do. It's, like I said, a Friday afternoon, and it's a warm day, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time here, but I just wanted to print off some things that we have to prove, like our union dues for the year, to like show like our professional development fund was spent, wisely or whatever. And I needed to grab a few more materials for my last few weeks of remote learning, so I need to grab some stuff. Of course, now I guess I'll just move some desks out of the way because it's right behind my desks. But yeah, I'll check in again later. Hi, checking in again. I am just about ready to leave school. I haven't been here very long, but yeah, I spent most of my time just finding receipts and printing them out and crossing my fingers that I did the right thing. I did start to pull some of my books of things that I know that I want to work on or review over the summer a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to bring it all home today or just part of it, but I thought I'd show you. And I know I also have some books at home that I also will show you probably in the next clip, but um, just some books that I think like help me. I feel like I've been home for so long now that it's time to start kind of reviewing some of the things I always do for each summer. Usually I kind of have like a goal area that I focus on most of the summer, and as well as some of like my end of summer, getting ready to prepare for a new school year sort of like books I like to review. So I thought I'd share those with you, okay? So you can see I have my lovely countertop just full of junk here. But I've pulled a few things. So mostly what I came to school for was just the last few leveled readers. We use the reading curriculum called Wonders, and they have these little leveled readers with it, and I need these for the end of the year for my last few videos. I also grabbed, because I know these are going to be my focus areas this summer that I want to focus on, my curriculum for science, which we just got a new curriculum for science this last year. And honestly, if I were to rate myself out of 10, I did like a 2 out of 10 on it. It was not great. So I'd like to dig into it a little more, find more things to like fill it in. It's not very deep for first grade. It's a lot of discussion, honestly. So I really want to figure out some things to do to kind of beef this up a little bit, make it a little more engaging and make it a little more useful for my students who have a lot of background knowledge, honestly, already. So this is the one we start with in the unit. And then this huge binder here is our writing unit. So in my district, we've created all of our own writing units. So there's like 9 or 10, I think, that, oh my gosh, I think there's people out there. I'm hiding behind the window now. But I feel like there's 9 or 10 different units in writing that they've created. And I think my team, I have one teacher on my team who was really like a really great writing teacher. So I kind of followed in her footsteps this year since it was my first year at this school and teaching this curriculum to this group of first graders. So I really want to dig into like the units I know she hits for next year, because I know I'll be teaching first grade and I know she'll be part of the team next year as well. So I'm bringing that home to kind of spend some time also beefing up. Along with that, I'm also bringing home my 2 folders that go with those. Maybe there's 3 folders here that go with some of the units I know we do. Like, I know we do reviews, I know we do some opinion and how-to writing. So I'm bringing home like whatever extra stuff I had. But more now onto like beginning of the year stuff that I always review, or, you know, especially this year. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time thinking about like our classroom structure again, just because if we do come back in September, which I don't know what we'll do, but they'll have been out of school for 6 months. So I'm imagining I'm going to need to break up the steps that I usually follow for like building routines and consequences and things like that in like classroom community, probably like by, you know, like tenfold, honestly. Like, I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with that at the beginning of the year. So I'm already kind of thinking of that and thinking of like what that might look like. Usually my goal is like by like 6 to 8 weeks in is where I want us to really start feeling like we have our routines in first grade. Like, you know, their work's starting to build independence, build their stamina. But I'm guessing for the fall, if we're back to normal, it might be more like, gosh, like 12 weeks, like maybe by November. I have no idea. That's crazy to think about. But here are some of the books that I always use. This one, I mean, is a great one. The First Days of School. It's by Harry Wong. I mean, there's like a bajillion versions of this one. I've never read it like the whole way through, but you can see like all of my notes for everything. This is a great one. It's kind of old, but it's just such a good review for some ideas of what you can do to kind of build some of the routines. It's an oldie but a goodie. The Daily 5, of course. I've usually, as always, as a first grade teacher, I've done more like the Daily 3, but I'm hoping to do more like rotations depending on our schedule for next year. I always review this one. I like this one. This is a one from Responsive Classroom, which is a fabulous, fabulous training. If you ever can go to it, go to it. It's like, honestly, it was the most life-changing training I ever went to. It's like, it's all about, you know, like you hear Responsive Classroom and you think things like, oh, morning meetings and logical consequences and stuff like that. But it just makes so much sense to me. And it's just so like, it's really like a positive behavior support in some ways. It's such a great training. I don't know. That changed who I was as a teacher. And I went to it like 2 years ago, and I'm hoping to go to another training in the next few years also. But this is a great one. And especially if you're a newer teacher, this gives you like kind of an outline of what the first couple days of school should look like, or the first few weeks of school should look like for whatever grade you end up teaching. And it also has some like a lot of good ideas for just, you know, building academic routines. And it goes all the way up to, I think this book goes to 6th grade, but I know they have some middle school resources too. But I think this would be a good one to review, because I know we're going to probably should be looking more at like the kindergarten section for incoming first graders for next year, you know? And it tells you like different skills you should build. I love it. And it gives you like rough draft schedules of like day 1, day 2, week 1, week 2, all the way up through the first 6 weeks. So that's why I really like that one. Another one, is this Responsive Classrooms too? No. I kept looking for the word Responsive Classroom on there somewhere. This is a great one if you know what grade you're going to teach. It gives you a really good idea academically of where, well, not just academically, but like developmentally, where the students will be when you get into that class. So I think they have every grade teacher up until probably through elementary school. Responsive Classrooms also has some information, if you check out their website, on where to find like where your student will be developmentally based on their age. So that's really handy, and I think kind of goes with this too. It just gives you an idea of like what they're like, you know, like if you don't teach first grade, they're very you know, they're very industrious, like they're always kind of doing things. They really like to be the first one done, you know, maybe they're not really like reflective or checking their own work yet, like developmentally. You know, they kind of become more social, they become more outward, whereas in 2nd grade, they kind of become more inward a lot of the time as they you know, develop. But it's really interesting and I think it's useful to keep that in mind when you know the students you're going to teach. And then Words Their Way. I do Words Their Way, which is a spelling program. And I wanted to review some of the different activity suggestions that they have for the different sorts, because I've started to get really familiar with where most first graders are with Words Their Way. You know, of course, there's always outliers, but I want some different activities for next year. I'm getting bored of what I do. Oh, and then this one I'm not going to bring home. Actually, I don't know. I'm kind of in a little turmoil with how I'm teaching reading right now. I'll talk more about that probably later, but it's actually based off of, oh gosh, what's her Instagram handle? like happy classroom or happy little classroom. I'll put it like right here under the screen, but she was talking about explicit phonics teaching a lot, and it's probably in one of our highlights called like literacy or, you know, reading or something like that on Instagram. But she was talking about how she's an Orton Gillingham trainer and how a lot of the work, you know, with like how we teach reading, like, you know, asking like, does it look right? Does it make sense? Questions like that, or, you know, don't necessarily teach students the skills like explicitly of what they need to know for learning reading. That like gives them tricks to guess, pretty much, to help them like guess a word. It doesn't really explicitly teach them like a pattern in a word. So I'm kind of feeling torn about that. I might talk more about like my opinions of how to teach reading later on. But yeah, that's just kind of where my mind is. So this was one that I was like, oh, I'll pull that out and talk about it and be like, I don't know. I'm growing as a reading teacher, so I'm going to stick this one back up in the closet somewhere. Maybe I should add the to-do list of cleaning this. But that's all I am going to, that's all, like that's a huge stack of books, geez Louise. But that's all I'm going to bring home right now. And yeah, I'll check in when I get home. Hi, I'm back home now. I feel like I'm kind of all over the place today a little bit. I was really shook when I saw my classroom all packed up practically with the desks all put away, so I think that has part to do with it. And partially because I feel like every time I'm at school I feel a little scared. There's just so many like limits on, you know, you're not supposed to be in there for very long, you know, don't just hang out. Just like if you're coming in for something, get it really quick and leave. So I was the only one there, well, the principal was there in her office, but I just feel like it's a little odd for me to hang out there for too long. So I feel like I talk really fast and was just like, okay, and I'm doing this and this and this and this. So, you know, just to reiterate, I just ran in to make some copies of things and grab a couple of things for the last few weeks of remote learning. And then I thought I wanted to show you some of the books that I'm interested in kind of reviewing this summer, or, you know, reading again even, just for professionally. Like the things that I do like review every year, and then some of the things that I just think would be useful this year in particular. So all those books you just saw were ones that I feel like, you know, I want to be revisiting. Like that's what I do a lot of in the summer, kind of reflecting on my practice and what I want to get better at for the next year. Because I mean, especially this next year, who knows? Like there's gonna be a lot of things that I think I could do. Hopefully I really need to be an excellent teacher at, to make sure students are making like appropriate like gains considering the spring. But also who knows if we'll even be in the room. But I'm home now. I wanted to show you just kind of a glance over of some of the other books I have here that I'll probably revisit as well. I don't, like, it's not like I read all of these like front to back or anything. A lot of them I kind of review throughout. Some of them I do read front to back, but some of them I definitely don't. And I kind of wanted to just like glance you through my last few books here. Okay, so here's my very organized, not great part one. So some of these books, of course, like this one, it's like, well, no, that's my wedding planner for, you know, I was supposed to get married this fall. Don't know if it's happening. The Growth Mindset Coach, I've started that one. It's a little too scientific for me to read all the way through, so I might skim through that one, but I don't know. Great Habits, Great Readers, I started and I really liked, but I feel like it was more targeted at some older grades. It has like a CD with it that has a lot of like good videos that kind of go with it. But again, I'm really thinking about my reading instruction and, you know, thinking about back to like that, the person on Instagram whose name, again, I'll put here because I cannot remember, Happy something, Happy Little Classroom, Happy Hearts, who just explains it so well. But I'm just kind of thinking about what I'm doing with reading, especially when I'm teaching such a young grade, you know, if I'm being explicit enough with my phonics teaching. You know, I do words their way, which is good, but is that enough? And I'm thinking more of like, you know, I feel like my reading curriculum, the focus of it is not heavily on phonics, so I'm trying to think of like ways I need to change that. So I'm not suggesting any of the reading books right now because I feel like I'm in my, you know, internally I'm having kind of an internal dialogue about what my reading instruction will look like next year and how I can get better at it, really. But back to the books. The Classroom Management book, this is a good one. This is by the same person who does the first few weeks of school or the first weeks of school. This one's a little more updated though, so it's more, look, did you just see that otter pop? That must have been my bookmark a few summers ago. This is really good if you haven't had any sort of classroom management training, or like you're a first year or second year teacher and you want to get better at classroom management. I think it's like really explicit with what it tells. I mean, again, I'd suggest the responsive classrooms training for classroom management more than almost anything. But if you're in a pinch, this is a good one to reflect on. And it kind of covers all kinds of grades. So let's see. I wonder if it suggests grades at all. It kind of goes over a lot of procedures, which is nice, because that is a lot of the first few weeks of school. This one I definitely want to read front to back. This one someone else suggested to me on Instagram, and I found this one really, really interesting, and it just is a little more modern than some of these other books, so I'm going to read this one front to back this summer. This one's good, but again, I don't know. I'm feeling very tumultuous about reading. And then Teach Like a Champion. I think I tried to start this one last summer, and I didn't get through a ton of it. Because it was a lot of words. And I don't know why, but I read a lot, but I hate when a book looks like a textbook. Is that awful? But yeah, this one was good though, because it came with a CD of information. I had not used it, so I might try this one again. But I don't know. Okay, so that's like that whole messy side. Let's go over to this side here. These are mostly just my college textbooks, so I'm not gonna read any of these. Oh, besides the Panini Press, I'm sure. Yeah, those are just some old textbooks, but I'm probably not gonna read too many of those. But let me know, like, what are you planning to read this summer? What are your focuses for this next school year? Do you have anything that you're gonna work on this summer? I'd love to hear, because I don't know, I'm feeling a little inspired now that it's almost end of school year. I know we all need a break from everything, and remote learning especially, but it's always nice to think about, like, okay, what if I have kids again in the fall? Wouldn't that be great? So I'm already kind of looking at that horizon. So let me know, what are you reading? What's kind of your focus? I know I'm focusing on reading a lot. If you've heard me mention it like 20 times already. And I'd like to focus on my writing, especially like kind of outlining like what each of the writing units looks like, and maybe a little bit of science too. Okay, I think I'll sign off here. I probably just yammered a whole bunch, but I'll see you next week. Bye.